insatiable appetite for marijuana. Let's not be lost on that, right? A lot of the wars that are happening in terms of turfs and stuff is because it's unregulated and it's outlawed. So perhaps if it is legalized and regulated, then a lot of the crimes that we're seeing that are gang related and stuff would be dealt with in a more efficient manner, in a more proper law enforcement manner.
So one of the things I wanted to rebut to was the regulation aspect, because I think in theory it makes a lot of sense, but the challenge with regulating is enforcing these rules where that regulation is implemented. And if you look at countries with limited resources like Belize, how can you go about ensuring that the rules that are aligned with this regulation are followed?
What limited resources are you referring to?
If you are talking enforcement of, I don't know, the cultivation of it, if there are certain amounts. Because, for example, when we spoke of new growth industries and introducing the conversation of marijuana and the cultivation of that, there were still rules that would have had to been applied. And so, are we prepared to enforce these rules?
Well, I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to be too critical of the minister who's responsible for new growth industries. We haven't really seen much in terms of any movement for or against the legalization of marijuana.
I think it's because of how strong the views are too, though.
And
it's very touchy.
Well, the churches have been the ones that have cried holy hell about legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
We've had that on record, right? I am saying to you, if the ministry that is responsible for new growth industries really sat down, consulted, and then came up with some kind of a proposal that says, okay, this is how we're going to move forward in terms of being able to legalize this particular drug, and this is how we're going to create an industry that is beneficial for everybody else as stakeholders.
And that would also work for commercial banking too, because that was a next concern.
We'll get to commercial banking on another aspect of the debate here. I'm saying that because in the Netherlands, you could buy your weed, smoke your weed, and live happily ever after. In the state of Colorado, where it's pretty much legal, you could open a dispensary, you got your grow house, you do your thing, make money, put it back into the local economy or what have you. I'm simply saying that there are certain models that have been put out there that we could look at and say, okay, perhaps for Belize, because it's a small country, we could create a hybrid situation where we could borrow from certain models and make our own.
And that's what I was going to go to next, because the countries that you highlighted are with millions of people, and we're talking a smaller country.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Create a hybrid where we could draw from certain elements that work and personalize it to Belize, right? Given our population size and what have you. The other thing is, if you're looking at export, and we're talking about de-risking and all of these other issues that we've had in the past, we're not saying we're cultivating for commercial purposes outside of the country. Right? If you decide that you want to grow your weed and sell it within the country domestically, so to speak, that's your thing. I'm pretty sure that perhaps some regulation can be done for that as well in the local financial sector. Part of what we're hearing is, okay, well, if we proceed in that manner, then the whole idea of our banking relations between Belize and other countries, based on what we've experienced in 2016 and what have you, will come back to haunt us. And admittedly, we're a very, very small economy compared to other countries who have proceeded to legalize and what have you, and don't have the issues of de-risking and all of these other things. But I'm simply saying, there should be, at this point, a serious and robust conversation about what we're doing about marijuana and marijuana use. Yes, you will argue that you have scientific studies that say it may be detrimental to human health. Well, so does alcohol, so does tobacco, right? So does any other prescription drug that is abused, if that were the case, right? So that is my position on it, Sab.
All right, well,
Free up the thing.
I beg to differ. And of course, we did have to come in with differing views to have you guys make a decision on your own. Perhaps what could be considered is a deeper study in how we could navigate a hybrid approach, as you mentioned, because I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. The studies that you have presented or the comparisons that you've made are with much larger economies, much larger population sizes as well. And so we'd really have to look at it from scratch, considering how this could affect our commercial banking. So it's not just the opinions of the general population, no. It's how businesses could be impacted, it's how the banking system could be impacted, and ultimately how we could prevent issues of laundering and you know, using drugs to create even other types of illegal businesses as well. It's a really a deeper conversation that I think will require a lot more time. I think, though, what this conversation or this debate also could potentially bring up is the new growth industries and the approach that they are taking, because I feel like that entire conversation have since fallen flat and dormant.
It's dormant. You used the exact word that I was waiting for.
Yeah. So
it's essentially
what happened,
dormant.
You know?
Right? Look, I'm not a weed smoker. In truth and in all honesty, I'm not a proponent of it. It's just for the purpose of the debate that I would take that side. But I do have friends and family members who do smoke. I don't discriminate. Your thing is your thing. Respect to that. And when you hear weed smokers talk about weed in the manner in which alcohol drinkers talk about alcohol and cigarette smokers talk about cigarette.
And that's why I said when we talk about health, I gotta tread carefully.
When you talk to a weed man, I tell you, boy, I smoke Oaxaca, or I smoke this or that or the third. There's an entire market and a science and a branding and everything that goes along with that. Just as if I talk about my beer, the next person talks about his or her thing. It is what it is. What I am saying is, right, there is enough to go around once it is done properly. That is what I'm saying. I don't sit here and discriminate against what the next person's thing is. But there is a government ministry that's pretty much assigned to look after all of this in totality. And we haven't really heard much.
Yeah.
We heard perhaps in the first 2 years of the previous Brazilian administration, and it was all the chatter, and ever since it went completely quiet.
Probably because of how sensitive the topic is.
Perhaps.
But we want your thoughts on that one. Do you believe that there should be consideration for the legalization of marijuana, or perhaps just the simple decriminalization that we've seen be put in place? We want to know your thoughts on that. But that is about it for our show this morning. It's been a pleasure having everyone here with us, our guests who joined us, and even you guys for tuning in with us. We do want to say that as we wrap up the conversation, we do have a couple announcements that we want to share with you guys. We have a happy 3rd anniversary announcement to Sheena and Jahid Smith. What a lovely photo. This is our very own Sheena from the studio here. And anyone else celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you guys as well. Some top stories that can possibly come out today. Of course, we do know that we are monitoring the sick out that is currently taking place nationally, where the Belize National Teachers Union have rejected the proposal from the government side. We also know that today wraps up the budget debate. We're still set to hear more talks from the opposition side, and so we will also be following that. Anything else? The
National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is also convening a meeting today. This is, of course, is ahead of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season and our state of readiness going forward. All righty. Well, we want to encourage you to stay tuned to our social media pages as well as our News at Noon, where we'll also be giving you mid-afternoon updates as well. It is May 28th again. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook. That's Open Your Eyes BC, as well as Instagram for behind-the-scenes contents. That's OIE Belize. You can also call us or text us on our OIE phone number. That's 675-2555. Again,
Thank you so much for joining us. And please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Wednesday, Belize. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.